Many thanks to DayZ Podcast, Pandemonium, Lion Lost, Felix Rex Vanilla servers, Atlas, Mutated Jurassic Outbreak servers, One Original DayZ servers, Dust Vanilla servers, Sheriff Lion, and Apocalypse Now server for making this video possible. With the release of DayZ 1.21 comes the ability to break open handcuffs to free players, giving us incredibly fast methods to release players using damage. So in this video we're going to check out the best ways to escape restraints this patch, and go over which of the 5 restraints is best for keeping players locked up due to these changes. DayZ 1.20 realigned the bullet hitboxes of items in our hands so that bullets can hit them now and as a result damage them, which included all of the 5 restraints that we have in DayZ. However, in the previous patch, shooting restraints on a player didn't break them open, it simply resulted in them becoming ruined and not much else. It still restrained the player. Now in 1.21, when restraints become ruined, they will automatically break open to release the player from the restraints, but all 5 of the restraints in DayZ have different levels of damage resistance, along with many other different stats that need to be considered to determine if it's actually worth shooting to open restraints, rather than just using a tool to open them instead, or just handcuff keys, and also tells us which of the 5 is best at keeping players restrained too. The different restraints in DayZ are duct tape, rope, metal wire, barbed wire, and handcuffs. All but rope takes just 2 seconds to restrain a player, with rope taking a hefty 10 seconds instead. To escape from restraints yourself, it would take 10 seconds for both the duct tape and the rope, with metal wire taking 15 seconds to escape. Barbed wire and handcuffs are the best in this case due to them taking 20 seconds to break free from, with barbed wire giving us a guaranteed minor bleed, which is the weakest of the 3 types of bleed, and the stance you decide to break free in does not determine how quickly you will break free. Now in 1.19, the ability to open somebody's restraints that were on somebody else with no tools was made possible. You can simply scroll to select, and it works out to be faster than escaping from the restraint yourself, with freeing a player not causing any bleed when it comes to barbed wire, and nor does it damage the durability of any of the restraints too, because escaping yourself removes 10 durability from all of the restraint types, where if you use a tool to open the restraints, it ruins all of them. Many tools can be used to unlock duct tape, as you can see here, which is twice as fast across the board compared to using only your hands to release somebody. The crude and oriental machete appear to be bugged when releasing players, because this is the case when it comes to rope too. Basically all methods that break open duct tape also break open rope. They're almost exactly the same when it comes to restraining, but they do have different hitbox sizes and durability levels, which we'll get into later. For now, the metal wire is very resistant to tools, with only 3 tools in DayZ breaking them open and ruining the metal wire like I said earlier, but using no tool at all, just using your hands to unlock somebody else, is faster and also preserves the durability of the metal wire for reuse too, because metal wire is quite useful, which is most certainly going to get fixed, as tools should be faster at releasing players compared to just using your hands. Again, like the relationship between duct tape and rope, metal wire and barbed wire have the same times, but like we saw earlier, breaking yourself free from barbed wire gives you a bleed and takes 5 seconds longer compared to metal wire. The same tools that open metal and barbed wire can also open handcuffs too, but the lockpick can open them in just 8 seconds, and the handcuff keys is a very fast 3 seconds, objectively making them worse than wire for restraining players. Breaking open restraints this patch is only possible using firearms in DayZ at the moment. Using melee, infected, explosives, vehicles, jumping out of vehicles, full damage, or even fire damage doesn't do any damage to restraints, which means you can't ruin the restraints because you can't do damage to them using these methods. Only firearms can damage restraints. In addition, only hitting the hitbox of the restraint, as you can see here, will damage them, which in all 5 cases, as you can imagine, is quite a small hitbox. In the case of duct tape, the hitbox is very close to the hitbox of the player, so it's difficult to not damage the player when you're freeing them, but the hand hitbox takes just 10% damage, which in the case of duct tape will break long before the player goes unconscious or dies. Duct tape has the lowest health of all restraints at just 50 durability, which means all weapons above 50 health damage will destroy pristine duct tape restraints in just 1 hit, which is much faster than any method in DayZ. However, when it comes to rope has 4 times the durability at 200 HP, so it's a better idea, in my opinion, to use a tool instead, as it only takes 4 seconds to break open rope with a tool. Metal wire is the most resistant restraint to weapon damage, which has a monster durability of 500, likely killing the player before you break open the restraints, making using no tool the fastest method until this gets fixed. Barbed wire also has a high health pool at 300 HP, but has a huge hitbox on the back, as you can see here, which just so happens to be completely 100% bulletproof too. No weapon can penetrate the barbed wire when it's attached to a player, or even when it's not attached to a player, making it impossible to hit the player unless the bullet deflects off of the barbed wire hitbox. Because of this, you can rapid shoot to release a player with barbed wire, draining this 300 health pool very quickly with a high damage per second weapon, making it the fastest method to release players now. Finally, we come to handcuffs, which have the same health pool as rope somehow, but because they can be opened in 3 seconds with handcuff keys, shoot to release isn't worth it in this case, but if you don't have handcuff keys, it is worth it. So this means that the best methods to release a player in DayZ now are these methods here, making shoot to release only really viable when it comes to duct tape and barbed wire, or when you don't have handcuff keys. But because barbed wire is 100% bulletproof at the moment, this method of shoot to release will probably only be viable against duct tape and handcuff when you don't have the handcuff keys, but it might be viable against rope in the future if the devs make some logical adjustments to how much health that rope has, which of course I'll keep you guys up to date with. If and when the barbed wire hitbox is fixed, it will certainly be the best restraining method in DayZ. Based on the stats that we've collected in this video, the bleed is just a bonus. All restraints can be broken out of in any of the stances, and as shown earlier, even handcuffs break open in just 20 seconds, but the animation gets cancelled when you punch up a tied person, so you can reset the animation that escapes the player from the handcuffs, but you may accidentally kill the person as a result due to the health damage loss of punching them. Another method of escape is just running away from your captors, but if you stand on top of your victim when they're prone and they have handcuffs on or any restraint, they literally cannot move at all, because you can only move when you're tied up when you're in the crouched or the standing stance. If you find yourself restrained, don't log out, as logging out or disconnecting in any way, even if you pull your internet cable out, will kill you. But if the server restarts, shuts down, or if the server crashes, your character will still be alive, but restrained when you log back in. And finally, the best method for capturing players is locking them in the prison building rooms, as these rooms have no hitboxes on the doors, so once you put somebody inside here and use a lockpick to lock the door, they cannot be punched open, and explosives do not open them either. All of the doors in DayZ are not like this. These are the only doors like this. All of the doors can be broken open with punches, and you can see how many punches it would take here. Now, if you include this video, I've created 15 videos solely for DayZ 1.21. A lot more changed this patch than I believe anybody anticipated, with one more video in the works for next week if everything goes okay. So I've created a playlist below for anybody that wants to stay up to date with the many additions and mechanic changes in 1.21, or there's a list of the 10 most important videos that I believe everybody should have watched if you consider yourself to be a DayZ information database. As for this video, let me know your thoughts below on the restrain times, escape times, untie times, and the various times for using tools for each of the restraints. Your feedback will likely shape how this slightly overlooked mechanic will behave in the future. Finally, it's been a while since I thanked all the people that buy me food, pay for my electricity bill, and provide me with clothing. This content literally wouldn't exist without you guys. Thank you very much. And a big thanks to Deguring for the extremely generous $50 donation recently. That's incredibly generous. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.